Folks, I want to put this as simply as I can. Donald Trump is an idiot. Flat out, he's an idiot. All of these folks, all of these MAGA folks, these Republicans who claim that he is so smart and so brilliant, he's not. This global trade war that he has instigated, where he somehow convinced these idiots, 77 million who voted for him, that the people who were going to benefit and make lots of money from tariffs were the American taxpayer. Everybody who understands tariffs knows that's a flat out lie. So what happened? Donald Trump comes in and announces we're going to have massive tariffs, and we're just going to up them against everybody. Well, first of all, the idiots are so dumb they used the wrong formula in calculating what it should be. They were actually slapping tariffs on countries where no people were inhabited. They were penguins. Again, these are not the most brilliant people in the world. He always talked about and he demeaned President Joe Biden, but he's showing how he is not that smart. So what happened? He announced the other day all these tariffs, stock market crashed, tumbled, 4 days, tumult, companies announcing they're not opening new plants, they're cutting travel, the uncertainty, massive increases, small businesses are freaking out, saying how I'm going to stay in business. And so what does he do? Today, this morning he posted a tweet saying, buy stock, then announces the tariffs. And then guess what? 90 days. Oh, but I'm going to increase it by 125% on China. China was like, bring it on, big boy. We're going to increase ours as well. Here's what's crazy. He sends out a tweet today explaining this schizophrenic, crazy, demented strategy. So this is what he said. Based on the fact that more than 75 countries, okay, I don't even believe him for a second, 75 countries have called representatives of the United States, including the Departments of Commerce, Treasury, and USTR, that's a trade representative, to negotiate a solution to the subjects being discussed related to trade barriers, tariffs, currency manipulation, and non-monetary tariffs, and that these countries have not, at my strong suggestion, retaliated in any way, shape, or form against the United States. I've authorized a 90-day pause and a substantially lowered reciprocal tariff during this period of 10%, also effective immediately. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Okay. So then they hail this as, oh my God. So on Fox News, an anchor was talking to Charlie Gasparino, financial analyst, and she tried to say that, hey, couldn't this be that Trump is just smart and brilliant? Listen.
Well, I mean, because of the mixed messaging, how can you doubt them? I mean, let's be clear what happened. Who capitulated here and why? And I don't want to say this because I'm a patriot. I'm an American. But it is the White House who capitulated based on everything I hear and all my sources. And the reason why is because of the bond market and what happened last night. Besant knows this better than anybody. When you have yields on the 10-year rising to 5%, stuff starts shutting down. When you have the lending markets screwed up. By the way, who was dumping the bonds? Somebody asked them if it was China, right? Mm-hmm. It wasn't. It was Japan. While he was negotiating with Japan, according to my sources, who are running major money management firms that are involved in the bond market, without giving up names, Japan was dumping bonds because they believed this was not a great place to do business. That forced their hands. Now, what you can say, I think, legitimately here, is Trump decided to take the win. And here's why. There was overwhelmingly, deal potential here among the entire world, except for maybe China, right? Everybody really wanted something. So he did take the win, but make no mistake about it. Peter Navarro was talking as of yesterday about not taking the win, and now they did. And it's all because of the bond market. I want to point out.
Okay, I'm confused. He opens up by saying the White House capitulated. They bowed down. They backed off. Then he goes, oh, no, Trump took the win. Which one is it? Capitulated means you lost. Now he's saying he took the win. Now, I've already read for you the tweet that Trump sent out. But this is this idiot talking to reporters, explaining why he pulled back on the tariffs. Watch this stupidity.
Why you decided to put a 90-day pause?
Well, I thought that people were jumping a little bit out of line. They were getting yippy, you know. They were getting a little bit yippy, a little bit afraid, unlike these champions, because we have a big job to do. No other president would have done what I did. No other president. I know the presidents. They wouldn't have done it. And it had to be done. What was happening to us on trade, not only with, you know, if you look at it, not only with China, but China was by far the biggest abuser in history.
Markets that persuaded you to reverse course?
I was watching the bond market. The bond market is very tricky. I was watching it, but if you look at it now, it's beautiful. The bond market right now is beautiful. But yeah, I saw last night where people were getting a little queasy. I think everything had. Well, the big move wasn't what I did today. The big move was what I did on Liberation Day. We had Liberation Day in America. We were liberated from all of the horrible deals that were made, all of the horrible trade deals that were made. And I was helped by people just like this, senator, congressman, and friends, right? And we had great help in the Senate. Our Republican senators have been amazing. They stood tall. And likewise in the House.
Interesting. Okay. Now, let me help y'all out here. Okay. Let me help y'all out with this one. So, his tweet, he said, oh, they're negotiating. Then people got queasy, which is really the United States. Then last night at a Republican dinner, he was like, oh, the world is kissing my ass. Listen.
In the history of our country. And don't let some of these politicians go around saying, you know, because I'm telling you, these countries are calling us up, kissing my ass. They are dying to make a deal. Please, sir, make a deal. I'll do anything, sir. And then I'll see some rebel Republican, you know, some guy that wants to grandstand, say, I think that Congress should take over negotiations. Let me tell you, you don't negotiate like I negotiate.
Okay, Morgan Harper joins us right now from Columbus, Ohio, American Economic Liberties Project. Morgan, glad to have you here. So, Morgan, I'm now confused. If I had instituted tariffs and I was causing nations to be on bended knee, and if they were kissing my ass, then I don't lift the tariffs. I keep kicking their ass. I keep beating them, berating them. I break them down. That's the so-called art of the deal. But he's trying to spin it as, oh yeah, so which is it? Were what was Wall Street? Were his donors, were they queasy? Or was it the foreign countries? We know what the answer is. He was getting his ass kicked, and Gasparino said it, and Gasparino didn't want to own it. Oh, I don't want to say it. I'm a patriot. That's Gasparino trying to kiss MAGA ass. The reality is they don't want to admit that Donald Trump is an idiot. He was destroying trillions of dollars in value, and folks said, you're rushing us headlong into a recession. That is why he backed off.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely a capitulation here. And I think another really important point to make is that none of us really know exactly what is going on, which is a very, very risky position for the United States government to be in. And that's why, you know, you're seeing things like you were talking about, Roland, with the reaction in the bond market. People don't trust the United States government right now. So this is not an environment that they want to invest in. And we don't know what deals he's talking about. We don't know the proposed terms of any of them, if they do exist. It really is the White House freestyling with the U.S. economy that is very intertwined with the global economy. And so, you know, I think it's interesting that they've said they're going to do this 90-day pause. I agree with you. I think it was to try to calm the market down. and where we go from here. But the reality is it's just a 90-day pause. So it's not bringing any more certainty to the market. I don't think this is going to put investors completely at ease. I don't think this is going to make, and I'm really glad you mentioned the risk for small businesses. I don't think this is going to make small businesses feel any more comfortable that they're going to be able to build or invest or make any sort of growth moves with their companies. How could they? We have no idea what's coming. And the reality remains that though he paused a lot of the tariffs, the increase on the tariffs on China will continue to impact a lot of different types of U.S. businesses that rely on imports. There isn't really, I mean, I would be hard pressed, and I'd be curious if anybody else has an example of a company right now that is making something in the United States that is entirely using products and tools that are also completely made in the United States. I don't know that product exists. This is a very intertwined global economy. A lot of different types of businesses rely on imports, and a lot of those imports do come from China. And so even with the remaining tariffs, reciprocal tariffs that he's put in place, that's creating a lot of risk and uncertainty for businesses of all sizes. And when we're talking about the types of businesses that can absorb that type of uncertainty and potentially eat into their own profit margin, and those that can't, it's very clear that only the biggest of businesses will be able to take in this type of uncertainty that Trump is creating and not raise prices. Anything less than those very, very large companies are likely going to have to pass this uncertainty and price increases on to consumers.
So Morgan, do this here for folks who don't understand. When Gasparino and even Trump mentioned the bond market, explain to people what the bond market means and what it means when Japan is getting rid of American bonds. Explain that.
Yeah, I mean, the bond market for U.S. Treasury is companies investing in, or sorry, foreign countries, whoever is investing and buying bonds, investing in the United States, that they are considering the United States to be a safe investment, something that they want to buy into. You know, as the returns for making those investments increase, it's a suggestion that people do not think that it's a very safe investment. They're going to want a lot of money in return for making the decision to invest in the United States. And so when you have countries or investors from Japan that are removing their investments in U.S. bonds, it's saying, hey, we don't trust what's going on here. We don't think this is a safe environment that's going to be a guaranteed money maker for us. We're out. And that is a show of a loss of confidence in, I should say, the U.S. government and the economic policy making that's happening and the business environment overall. So that is not necessarily where we're used to being, but it makes sense because we have policy making that is really happening in secret. And again, like I was saying before, we don't have insight. If we as Americans, individuals, we don't have insight into what's going on, it appears that also the head of our United States Trade Representative, he was on the Hill today in a hearing about the tariff policy right before this announcement came out. And it was clear that he too didn't seem to have a clear sense that this was coming. So if the people who are in charge of making economic policy aren't in the loop, if the American people aren't in the loop, if Congress isn't in the loop, and it's just the White House and Donald Trump that is setting policy based on how they're feeling day to day, then any foreign investor, government, those of us living here in the United States as business owners, as consumers, certainly have no reason to feel comfortable either. And there continues to be a tremendous amount of risk that's being created for all of us as long as he continues to approach policymaking like this.
To your point, in the control room, let me know if y'all have that clip ready. The U.S. Trade Representative was on Capitol Hill testifying, and Congressman Stephen Horsford was giving him the business. And the Treasury Secretary, Scott Bessent, was supposed to be there, but he canceled because of what was happening. I mean, the markets were just absolutely going crazy. And what you're finding is, I saw some reporting a couple of days ago that Bessent was initially on the outside. It was Trump and Peter Navarro and others. And it's utterly illogical that you could be an occupant of the Oval Office and you're talking about instituting a massive global trading war, and your U.S. Trade Representative is not dialed in, your Treasury Secretary is not dialed in, you're talking to Elon Musk and Peter Navarro, and then those two idiots are fighting at each other on Twitter and on Fox News. I mean, it looks like the Keystone Cops. Here's Congressman Stephen Horsford on Capitol Hill just giving the business to the U.S. Trade Rep.
Is this market manipulation?
No.
Why not? If it was a plan, if it was always the plan, how is this not market manipulation?
It's not market manipulation, sir.
Well, then what is it? Because it sure is not a strategy.
We're trying to reset the global trade system. It's
offshored
all of our factories.
And what has that done? How have you achieved any of that? But to enact enormous harm on the American people, which was our concern from the very beginning. Tariffs are a tool. It can be used in the appropriate way to protect U.S. jobs and small businesses. But that's not what this does. So if it's not market manipulation, what is it? Who's benefiting? What billionaire just got richer? And all the while, there are not even any Republicans left in this hearing. They all left because they don't even want to defend this. But meanwhile, the Speaker is rushing to the floor to pass a budget reconciliation to screw America by passing the biggest tax cut in history on the backs of the American people. WTF? Who's in charge? Because it sure doesn't look like it's the trade representative. You just got the rug pulled out from under you.
You know, Morgan, I've had a lot of people hit me today saying that what he said, market manipulation, you've got rich folks who swoop in, been able to buy stocks at cheap prices, and this is hurting every worker, things along those lines. You've got companies announcing that they're not moving forward with projects. You've got companies, the bank CEOs said a number of people were not moving forward with mergers and acquisitions, and that there is just this massive amount of lack of clarity about what's going on. And Trump's just walking around like, oh, my God, it's great. It's beautiful. He was caught on an open mic just saying, look at how beautiful it is. The market went up 2,500, 3,000 points. That's got to be a record. I mean, this idiot is talking about it's got to be a record. Dude, you caused the crash. You caused the drop.
Yeah, and it really does seem like there were certain players that were prepared to take advantage of this moment. So I think market manipulation is an accurate issue for Rep. Horsford to be bringing up, like we saw in that clip, because, yeah, I mean, if certain large, because let's be real, and I think this is another important point, Roland, is who is spending their days trading on the stock market? If you have a 9-to-5 job, like I have, like most of the people in this country, if they're lucky, have that, or else you're running around to 2 different jobs throughout the day, you don't have time to be sitting there monitoring what's happening in the stock market and making individual trades. So most of us, if we are involved in the half of the country that's involved in the stock market, we are passive players in that market. You know, like we have our 401k, we're invested in these index funds, and then we see how it all rolls out. The people that are in the position to trade with this type of speed are large institutional investors in the stock market. And these are the types of entities that are run by people that are likely to be friends with Donald Trump. So if there was market manipulation to be had, those are the types of people that are going to be positioned to take advantage of it. Unlikely that it's going to be your friend down the street that likes to trade occasionally in an individual stock. Let's be real about that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, people who are day traders, folks who are doing that. I mean, you're absolutely right. These things are happening before our very eyes. The net result to the average, regular, ordinary working day person is that even though with this 90-day extension, what it still is doing, Morgan, is causing massive just unsteadiness. And so even though you wait 90 days, it's still so, we don't know what's going to happen. And so that's the problem. What business likes is certainty. What the average worker likes is certainty. You want to be certain you have a job. You're getting a paycheck. You want to be certain that prices are going to be stable. But when you have up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, it's schizophrenic. And when it's schizophrenic, what do people do? They sit back and say, I ain't spending nothing. I'm not doing nothing. I'm not hiring people. I'm not making acquisitions. I'm not building a new building. I'm not building a new plant. I'm not acquiring a new company. I need to sit back and wait to see what the hell is going on.
Exactly right. And then that's the real risk here. And, another thing I would point out is it didn't have to be like this. Like we heard from Rep. Horsford, he's acknowledging there's a role for tariffs to play that in a version of this that could support workers, that would be more protective of small business interests, that would be targeted, that would be strategic, that would be methodical, that would be easy for all of us to understand, for the market to understand, that would create more certainty about what's going on. This administration has decided to do the opposite. They are risking an economic recession, and the level of chaos is only going, and I will say this, I said it before, and I'm going to say it again, it will only serve to benefit the richest of the rich and the largest companies. I mean, we actually saw now that Albertsons, for example, has come out and said, oh, we won't be paying any higher prices. So that's a large grocery chain. They are able to tell their suppliers, oh, no, we're not absorbing any of this. You guys just have to give us whatever price we want, because they're called, what's known as a power buyer, and they can kind of set those terms. Walmart, kind of similar. You know who can't do that? The independent grocer in your neighborhood that is just trying to get by with, as we've talked about, very, very thin profit margins and has no ability to flex beyond what they're currently paying for the goods that they're trying to sell in their store. They will not be able to stay in business. That is a big, big risk of this kind of uncertainty that's going to hit independent businesses and us as consumers more than anybody.
Indeed, indeed. Morgan Harper, American Economic Liberties Project. Michelle, appreciate it. Thank you so very much.
Good to see you. Thanks for having me.
Hello, I'm Isaac Hayes III, founder and CEO of Fanbase. Listen to what I'm about to tell you. The window to invest in Fanbase is closing. We've raised over $10.6 million of our $17 million goal. That means there's room for less than 6,370 people to invest in Fanbase for the average amount. The minimum to invest in Fanbase right now is $399. That makes you an owner in Fanbase today. Go to startengine.com/fanbase to invest. Why? Because current social apps have taken advantage of users for far too long, with content suppression, shadow banning, harmful racist content, and no real tools for monetization and equity. Fanbase has over 1.4 million users and counting, allowing anyone to reach all their following and monetize their content from day one. Social media is the new TV, and whoever owns the apps that distribute that content have the opportunity to own potential billion-dollar companies. While big platforms with uncertain futures are failing to serve their users, Fanbase is stepping up to fill the gap. Don't wait until it's too late. Invest now, invest for yourself and your future. Go to startengine.com/fanbase and own the next generation of social media.